Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Wednesday, January 25th, 2023 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi, and our energy mantra for today is the universe is always listening to my vibe and providing me with feedback. And as I sat down to record this scope, a song from In Excess popped into my head. Need you tonight, but it's just a certain line. I've got to let you know you're one of my kind. It just kept playing that over and over and over again. And it felt like it was a message from the universe to each one of us that we're one of its kind. And I just thought that was a really beautiful message to pass on. And it's a reminder like everything that's happening is co creation with the universe. And to remember that can help you bring your power back to you, and can help you in shifting situations that feel like they're time to shift. Speaking of time to shift, Mars is finally creeping along a little faster. We finally moved past that 8-degree mark. We've reached 9 degrees. And so things are going to start to move forward a little bit more. I mentioned the other day, but it's worth mentioning again, all major planets are direct until late in April. And so while this doesn't mean there's not going to be setbacks and lessons and all of that, because that always happens, that's part of life, this is a beautiful time to work in your personal alignment, in moving forward, in going for what you want, in putting physical steps towards your dreams. And that's always a important reminder during Aquarius season, because Aquarius is like idea. It's like paparazzi flashbulbs going off, Aquarius vibes. But it's more than the ideas. It's the embodiment of the ideas. It's the taking steps towards these ideas that we also want to connect into. So, speaking of that, we start the day kind of slow. The moon will be finishing up in Pisces and moving into Aries at 10:48 a.m. Pacific time. And today, because it's a quieter astro day, feels like a really great time to remind you of what void of course means. So, the moon goes void of course every time it prepares to shift signs. There's a few ways of looking at it. One way is that it goes void of course after the moon stops making any connections. Another way of looking at it is that the moon is void of course in the last few degrees of the sign that it's leaving, so in this case Pisces, and the first few degrees of the sign that it's moving into. I subscribe more to the it goes void after the last connection. That's what I kind of feel more so, and I value what I feel. So that's how I look at it. So we will have a connection in the morning, in the early morning, with Pluto, which could just feed into the whole lazy catness of it all. Moon in Pisces connecting to Pluto at 28 degrees Capricorn. But this may be about valuing that quiet time, that time to connect to the universe. Going back to the song that the universe brought us today, you're one of my kind. Connecting in, using that quiet, using the sleepy, lazy cat feeling to connect in. And I have to show you that I do have the laziness card in reverse. And I think this is a good reminder. A lot of times when the laziness feeling comes, it's not laziness. It's the need to be-ness that is happening. And so please please take a little time to be, especially if you're feeling some of that void moon, quiet down energy. Because the moon's then going to shift into Aries, and Aries is like, let's light this fire. So moon into Aries at 10:48 a.m. is definitely going to start things rolling, and the moon is going to connect to Jupiter later in the day. But still, this is some really strong fiery energy. Now, if you are feeling any frustrations, if you are feeling passionate, if you are feeling anger, if you are feeling inspired, Jupiter is going to amplify that energy. So be aware of that. Jupiter will be moving, I think it's going to hit 5 degrees today. It's late 4 degrees. I believe it's going to hit 5 by the end of the day. And so there may be some triggers in this energy, but that 5-degree energy, it can bring change. And it also reminds us to listen for solutions. So keep that in mind, especially if you are feeling any frustrations. Sometimes we're frustrated because we keep trying to go out the closed window, and the universe is like, oh my gosh, there's a door right there. If we would just pay attention, if we would just listen. So I keep getting that message of listening today. The sun and the moon are also going to be connecting later in the evening. Super spiky electrical vibes. Somebody asked me, what does that mean? The electrical vibes, a lot of times when we have a lot of air signs activated, it's like the air creates static electricity. I don't know. But the air is very mental, and it can be very stimulating for our nervous systems, and it can feel frenetic inside. It can feel overstimulating. And so with the sun, Saturn, Venus all hanging out in Aquarius, and then Mars newly direct in Gemini, not to mention that Uranus is also newly direct, and Mercury is newly direct. All of this energy can feed into very stimulating energy. So if you are having trouble sleeping or feeling grounded or concentrating or anything like that, that laziness reminder to beingness, take time to be, take time to ground, take time to connect, because it's just going to keep increasing. And so it's work that we need to do, is learn how to be able to run this energy through our body rather than constantly resist it, because the resistance creates the exhaustion. That was probably where I was yesterday, in the resistance of the electrical energies. So card-wise, speaking of the passion of the moon and Jupiter conjunction, I do have the Lovers card and some harmony. So maybe we're having some little love connection energy coming in, but it may be about yourself as well. You know, this is in Aries, the moon and Jupiter in Aries. So if it's about yourself, that's even better. Flowering, growing into ourselves, understanding our worth, understanding why we're here on deeper layers and levels. And then here we have those other cards, the tuning in and the laziness card in reverse. So not laziness, just beingness. So tuning in, listening in, checking in, and giving yourself a little that silence and space so you have the energy when that expansion comes. So that is it for today. You can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. Besides that, the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power, and honor your values. Namaste.